Hi, Bob Price here. This is a short about a dream that I had last night, and I'm going to explain more in a longer version of this video. But in short, I dreamt that I was in a grocery store, and I had a list in my hand, and I was writing on this list things that I need to do. And so I was walking back, and I was going back to the restroom, to the men's restroom, and there was a little boy in front of me, and little boy meaning like he was probably about maybe 13 years old or something like that. So it's important to define the age because that's important in the interpretation later of the dream. So anyway, so I'm watching, he's in front of me and he opens the door, and what I see that he's walking into is it's the same grocery store. It's not the bathroom in front of him. In front of him is the same grocery store that we're in, except for it's at nighttime and it's dark and there's nobody in there. And so he walks in, and so the door closes, and then I open the door and I walk in, and I'm in a version of the grocery store, and it's exactly the same way except for everything is inverted. So instead of the front of the grocery store being on the front side, it's on the back side behind me. So everything is reversed and everything's dark. All the lights are out, but the little boy is in there, and I pass him and I say, "Do you know where we are? What's happening here?" And he says, "Well, I don't know, but every time I come here, it's when I'm doing my homework or something. And if I'm doing homework, then it changes to this place." And then he walks out. And so I'm writing on this list of things I need to do. And I start to think, why am I here? What does it mean? And then I walk out and I go out to the regular grocery store and close the door behind me. I've talked to you about Silhouette. She's she's a co-protagonist, and she's a tarot reader that is in my novel, Tarot by Design. But it's interesting how life mirrors something like that, mirrors something that you're doing. So I have been following this psychic online, and her name is Andi. And I was looking at her and I was thinking, she dyes her hair different colors, but her most recent incantation, she looks like Silhouette. So I don't have rights to use Andi's image in my video, so I'm going to use Silhouette, and I'm going to use her as a representation in this particular video for Andi. I will put a link in my description so that you can go back and see the video I'm referencing, and also you'll be able to see what Andi looks like. And sure enough, she looks like Silhouette. Now, my question for you then is, when I created Silhouette, was I actually inspired by my intuition to create a version of Silhouette that looked like Andi so that that would be in place later for this video? It's really profound. Okay, I've talked to you about how things happen, and it's kind of like a prelude for something else, and you don't know what they mean at the time that you're doing it. So this video that I created about living guides, I didn't realize at the time. I thought I was just creating it for my video audience, but it was actually a preparation for me also. It was a preparation to be able to understand this this dream that I had. So there's a psychic online whose name is Andi that I follow, and she had this thing, she gave this reading, and she was saying, I don't know why I'm even doing this reading on Saturday. I never read on Saturday. And she says, as she was going through, she says, this is really a weird reading. I don't know for sure what it actually means exactly, but as she was giving that, I'm thinking, this is the answer to my dream. She's acting as a seer stone in order for me to be able to interpret the dream. And I'm going to go through and compare what she had in her reading with what actually was in the dream, so you'll be able to understand the symbolism along with me. So this is really exciting. This dream didn't stand alone. It connected directly to a reading from Andi. Her name is 13 Moon Tarot, and her insight in her most recent reading she did on her YouTube site helped me understand the deeper layers of what I experienced in my dream. I'll link her reading in the description, like I said, so you can listen to it yourself, and because it truly completes the other half of my message. So I played for you the short at the beginning of this video that talked about the dream, but I want to go over the dream again so that we can go in some of the extra details that I'm learning by Andi's interpretation. So the dream starts off in a grocery store, a normal everyday place. Bright lights, aisles, people moving around. I'm holding a list in my hand, writing down things I need to do. That detail becomes more important later in this interpretation, because it ties directly into something Andi said in her reading about stationery and writing on paper. I'm walking toward the back of the store, heading to the men's restroom, and in front of me is a boy, maybe 13 years old. And I remember thinking in the dream, his age matters. He wasn't a little kid, but he wasn't grown up either. He was right at that threshold age where intuition is still active, but awareness is waking up. The boy reaches the restroom door ahead of me, and he opens it, and what's behind is not the restroom. It's the same grocery store that I'm in right now, with all the people, with all the lights, but what I'm seeing in front of me is a dark version of it, empty, nighttime, completely reversed, like someone flipped the entire building backward. He walks into the new space. It's not a restroom, but he walks into the dark version of the grocery store, and the door closes it. I open the door and follow behind him, and suddenly I'm standing in an inverted version of the grocery store I was just in. The front is now the back. The aisles are reversed, the lights are out. It's the same place, but it's a backstage version of it, the version you're not supposed to see unless something in the timeline pauses. Now this is important because Andi, in her interpretation, talks about the time pausing, and she is not understanding why is the time pausing. But it's because of this dimensional shift of going into the dark version of the grocery store. I pass the boy and I ask him, "Do you know where we are?" He says, "Yes, I know this place. I come here to do my homework." The important thing is that he answers calmly, like he does know where he is. This is a place that he's familiar with, like he's been here before. So here is a key interpretation. The boy represents the inner child in all of us, the part of us that remembers the original blueprint, that part that knows when something is off, the part that can navigate the liminal spaces adults forget how to see. He led me into the mirror world. He knew the way. He wasn't afraid of the inversion. And that's important because the dream wasn't showing me a place, it was showing me a state, a pause, a dimensional shift, a moment where the familiar world flips itself inside out, and you can see what's actually influencing you behind the scenes, backstage. It's the mirror world of where we are now. profound. Now let's talk about how Andi's reading completed the message. I listened to Andi's reading again, and here is where it gets wild. When I listened to Andi's reading again, here's the link if you want to hear it for yourself in the description. She described the exact emotional architecture of my dream. She talked about a stationary moment, a pause in the timeline, a liminal space, a do-over energy, a portal or threshold, and a circus-like entrance with a flashing welcome sign. Writing on stationery, something became strange, she said, and a moment where you're preparing for what's about to unfold. All of this was in my dream. It was like she was mirroring my dream in her interpretation. Every single one of those elements that Andi talked about was present in my dream. It just expressed symbolically. The grocery store was the circus entrance. The reverse store was the liminal space. The boy was the inner child. The list in my hand was the stationery. The darkened aisles were the pause in the timeline. The inversion was the mirror backstage. Her reading didn't just resonate, it decoded the dream. The inverted store, which was the mirror world of our world, the backstage, wasn't a warning, it was a revelation. It showed me what was reversed, what was influencing me, what I wasn't supposed to see yet, why I needed a pause, why something felt off, and why the retreat was the right move. It was the backstage mirror of my life, the version where the truth is visible because the lights are off and the distractions are gone. Andi talked about the cosmic permission slip, that moment when Spirit says, "Not yet, wait, look again." That's exactly what the dream was showing me. I'd stepped into the pause, I'd entered the in-between, the mirror world. I had seen the architecture behind the situation. And now we don't have Andi here, but we do have Silhouette. So I will have Silhouette give me her version of a summary, and then we will go through and summarize the imagery that was in the video to close out this video interpretation. Silhouette, what can you tell us about your interpretation of all of this stuff that we have seen so far?
Beloved traveler, you were shown the world behind the world. You followed the child's self through the door that only opens when time holds its breath. In the inverted aisles, you saw the truth that hides in shadow, the mirror backstage where intentions reveal their shape. You paused when others pushed. You listened when the timeline whispered. And because of that, the permission slip approaches. The door will open again. And this time, you will walk through with clarity.
Here's a summary of the dream and the symbols. The boy in the dream was symbolic of my early self, my inner child, the part of me that remembers the original blueprint and guides me through liminal spaces. The door that goes into the restroom was the path to inner discovery, a threshold into the unseen, the moment the timeline pauses and reveals the hidden layer, and reveals the hidden layer. The mirror world is the backstage view of life, the inverted nighttime version of reality where the truth behind the scenes becomes visible. This is like the place where Alice in Wonderland went in her story. This is also like the Wizard of Oz, where I can't remember her name now, went to the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy. The grocery store is the normal world, everyday life, choices, routines, and the place where intentions are written and gathered. The list was the written intention, the stationery that Andi talks about, the act of authoring my own timeline, the physical symbol of Andi's stationery message. And the darkness of the mirror is the pause, stationary moment, a cosmic stillness where clarity emerges once distractions fall away. Finally, the reversal, the time shift, that was seeing what was influencing me, what was off, and what was needed to be corrected. The boy leading divine timing. The boy leading was divine timing, the inner child guiding me through the inversion at exactly the right moment. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I want to thank Andi for her help in helping me to interpret it.